Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So, what's on tap for today? Well, we've got another great video, folks. It's of our Senator Josh Hawley, and he is in a judicial hearing with parents on how to stop cyberbullying and basically trying to get legislation, push legislation so that we can protect our children. Once again, Josh Hawley on the side of American citizens, on the side of American parents, doing what is best for this country and its people. And we're going to get to that video in just the next few seconds. But before we do so, we just want to let you know that you're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If it's your first time here, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Put your comments down below. Let's get to that video right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to all of the witnesses for being here. Ms. Bright, I want to start with you. I want to particularly thank you for being willing to share your story and Carson's story. I'm the father of three, two boys, and you've lived every parent's nightmare, but thank you for being willing to try and see some good come of that and for being so bold in telling your family story. I want to ask you about one thing that I heard you say, and you've also written it in your written testimony about Carson. You said it wasn't until Carson was a freshman in high school, so about 14, I would guess, that we finally allowed him to have social media because this is what caught my attention. That was how all the students were making new connections. Could you just say something about that? Because that's the experience, I think, of every parent. My boys are 10 and 8, and they're not on social media yet, but I know they'll want to be soon because they'll say, well, everybody else is on it. So could you just say a word about that?
Yes, thank you. We waited as long as we possibly could, and we were receiving a lot of pressure from our son to be involved. I hear this a lot from other parents. You don't want to isolate your kid either. And so we felt by waiting as long as possible, talking about the harms. Don't ever send anything that you don't want on a billboard with your name and face next to it, that we were doing all the right things and that he was old enough. He was by far the last kid in his class to get access to this technology, yet this still happened to us.
Yeah, that's just incredible. Well, you were good parents and you were a good mother, incredibly good mother, clearly. This is why I support and have introduced legislation to set 16 years old as the age threshold for which kids can get on social media and require the social media companies to verify it. I heard your answers down the panel a second ago to Senator Kennedy. I just have to say this, as a father myself, when you say things like, well, the parents really ought to be educated, listen, the kid's ability, and I bet you had this experience, Ms. Bright, the kid's ability to figure out how to set what's on this phone. My 10-year-old knows more about this phone than I know about it already. What's going to be like in another 4 years or 5 or 6 years like your son, Ms. Bright? So I just say as a parent, it would put me much more in the driver's seat if the law was you couldn't have a phone. I'm sorry, you couldn't get on social media till 16. I mean, that would help me as a parent. So that's why I'm proposing it. Parents are in favor of it.
I just want to interject here. I think that is phenomenal. I think that is great. Absolutely. 16 years old at a minimum. I mean, I think we would, if you could have that age a little higher, but I think, Hawley, had to have some basically conciliatory, means to basically get this thing through. So this is basically a proposal policy that he's trying to implement. Hopefully you can get the votes for it, but it's 16 years old and it needs to be verified through the companies. And not just that you put your date down. You got to send in something, okay, an ID card, your driver's license at that point if you have one, or a ID card from the state, or something that can be verified. And parents' permission needs to be put on side there, and also with the parents' ID as well, so that it's verified. I mean, they do this with a whole bunch of things already, and that's exactly what needs to be done. So kudos to this for Josh, Senator Hawley, for trying to, at least bring this thing forth and hopefully get a vote on it. And let's go. They're doing something with TikTok already, getting rid of it on federal, phones and federal devices. We need to do that, throughout for everybody. Anyways, let's continue.
I got the idea from parents who came to me and said, please help us, please help us. And listen, I'm all for tech training. It's great. But I just don't think that's going to cut it. So I've introduced legislation to do it. Let's keep it simple. Let's put this power in the hands of parents. I'd start there. Second thing, Ms. Bride, you brought suit against Snapchat and others, and I've got your lawsuit right here. And you were barred by Section 230, and you testified to that effect. They just threw it all out, right? The court threw it all out?
Right. And
Go
it
ahead.
wasn't, the lawsuit was not about content. It was about the company's own policies
Yeah.
that lured my son in to think that this product, this app was safe, this anonymous app, that they would monitor for cyberbullying and reveal the identities of those who do so. It had nothing to do with content.
Yep. And this is why I think it is just absolutely vital that we change the law to allow suits like yours to go forward. And if that means we have to repeal all of Section 230, I'm fine with it.
Absolutely. We need to get rid of CDA 230 completely. These mega tech companies are operating under this old, basically, definition of, the Community Decency Act 230, saying that, hey, we're just a platform. That's all we are. We don't moderate content. We don't edit content. We don't do anything else. We just allow you to put your stuff up there, and that's all we're a highway. You're the cars, you're the drivers. We're just a highway that we allow you to access on. That's it. Completely untrue. So absolutely, get rid of Section 230, gut it. Absolutely gut it from there. Let's bring these media tech companies, all right, back to the drawing board and allow parents and users to have the power come back to them in terms of what voices, what statements, what things we can put down there. There'll still be some things that you're not going to be able to say. That's fine. But as far as creative content, original content, First Amendment freedom rights, that's exactly why 230 needs to be abolished.
I'm introducing legislation that will explicitly change Section 230 to allow suits against these social media companies for their own product design, for their own activities, for their own targeting of kids, for them to be sued for that, and it will allow you and every other parent, Ms. Bright, to get into federal court. We will create a federal right of action because here's what I've decided. Listen, I'm a lawyer, former attorney general. I believe in the power of courts, and what I've decided is you can fine these social media companies to death. FTC fined Facebook, $1 billion or something a couple of years ago. They didn't change their behavior at all. They don't fear that. What they will fear, though, is they fear your lawsuit. That's why they fought it so hard. They don't want parents suing them. They don't want to be on the hook for damages, double damages, treble damages. Well, they should be. And if we give the power to parents to go into court and say, we're going to sue you,
Yes.
they will fear that far more than they fear some regulator here in Washington, D.C., who, by the way, is probably looking to get a job with that same company when they rotate off their regulatory panel. Because that's what happens. All the regulators here in D.C., they go to work for these tech companies as soon as they're done here. Well, enough of that. Let's put power into the hands of parents, allow
Just a little bit on that. So see, that's what happens. You work as a regulator because you use that as a stepping stone to get the multi-mega big buck contracts with these, tech companies, stock options and all the rest. And listen, I don't begrudge those regulators doing that. I mean, that's just the way it works in the world right now. But what happens is you go into the regulation, you become a regulator. Now you know all the ins and outs of what's happening. You've got people on Capitol Hill that you know who to talk to. You're one of the policymakers. You know yourself. You're basically hobnobbing with the representatives, with the congressmen, congresswomen. Senate. All these people. You're with everybody else that's out there. And what do? As soon as your term is up, these companies are looking for you. Because now they can bring you on board and they can say, hey, come on over. You were a regulator before. Help us. What's happening? What things can we avoid? What things can we sort of skirt around on? Where can we just bring it right up to the edge and be in compliance? They can help you out because they're the ones that were in on all of the policy making, all the laws that were coming up. They know the ins and outs. So what Senator Hawley basically is talking about is that, hey, that's the way it works right now. if we can allow you as parents to go ahead and sue in a federal court, and it's all about the money, hurt them in the pocketbook, maybe, just maybe, that might change the way that these mega tech companies do business and help protect our children each and every single day.
You, Ms. Bride, and every other parent in America who has a grievance here to get into court and sue these people and hold them accountable. And I'd say the same thing about child sexual exploitation material. Let's let parents sue, and I will introduce legislation that will allow any parent in America who finds child sexual exploitation material online to go sue the companies for it. If they know or should have known, the companies, that they were hosting this material, let's let them sue them. That, I tell you what, if these companies think they're going to be on the hook for multi-$100 million or more fines and damages from multiple suits all across the country, they'll change their act. They'll get their act together real quick. So my view is enough of this complicated regulatory this, regulatory that. Just give the American people and American parents the right to get into court and defend their kids and to defend their rights. And if we do that, I think we'll see real results. Last thing, Mr. Chairman, I know I'm going long here, but I just want to say this. We have these hearings every so often. I love these hearings. They're great. Everybody talks tough on the companies. And then later on, watch, we'll have votes in this committee, real votes. And people have to put their names to stuff. And oh, lo and behold, when that happens, we can't pass real tough stuff. So I just say this to my colleagues. This has been great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing. This has been great, but it's time to vote. It's time to stand up and be counted. I've been here for 4 years. It's been 4 years of talk. The only thing we've gotten done on big tech is TikTok, which we finally banned from all federal devices. That's the only thing of any significance we have done on big tech. That has got to change. And I want to thank all of you for being here to help galvanize that change. Thanks for indulging, Mr. Chairman.
Just what you said right there. Talk is cheap. It's the vote that counts. And as Senator Hawley just said, the only thing they were able to do was get TikTok off of, illegal to have TikTok. You can't download it on a federal device, for federal workers. Okay, that's for them. What about for the children? What about for, again, those, kids? They don't know what's going on. They don't know how the harm that social media can bring. It bring a lot of good. Tremendous amount of good, education, communication, all that, but it also has its pitfalls. And we have to try to minimize those pitfalls as much as we can for our children so that we don't have instances and circumstances and those awful stories of children just being cyberbullied and then causing children to commit suicide or to go into depression or to have all sorts of other, learning disability problems and all the rest, the whole basket, that occurs there. So this is all great. We have a champion here, Josh Hawley, and some others, obviously in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. We just need to be on them all the time. We need to tell our senators, we need to tell our congressmen, hey, look, this is what we want. Vote on these bills. We'll be watching you to make sure that you do protect our children when these laws are put before you, and to come out of committee and to vote on them. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Shaikh. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscription bell. Go ahead and smash that notification bell as well. Like, share, and follow us. Put your comments down below. Let us know what you think. And I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.